just reserving the right to object, I would like to ask a few questions. You've added about 30 new pages to this. I think Senator Grassley has touched on some of the technical details. I wonder, Senator Schumer, if you're prepared to tell us at this time what the new legal flow of immigrants will be into the country, how much it will be increased, what we'll see over 10 years, because I think members of this committee and others I've heard express publicly a concern that we don't impact adversely the work, the salaries, and job opportunities of legal residents and Americans who are hurting at this time. Can you give us a statement of the numbers, of your best judgment of what the numbers are going to be?
Sure will. First, because this is a concern that's being made, but there's one point that's being lost in the debate. We're not dealing with this in the abstract. We're comparing it to the present situation if we do nothing. So the question that to me is relevant, and I think to most Americans, is very simple. It is not how many people does your bill let in. I'll answer that in a minute. It's how does the bill compare if we do nothing? Everyone's decrying the present system because millions of people cross the border illegally. And our bill, as I said, the focus of our bill is to stop future flows of illegal immigration. We're very strong on it. I was glad to see my colleague from Texas want to do even more than we do in terms of border patrol and everything else. So it must mean we're going in the right direction. He just doesn't think it's enough, but we certainly do. So under this bill...
Well, we could do that without adding additional new legal flow.
Well, then I wait
over the current levels.
I would await your amendment on what we do with the people who are not here legally now. Okay? If you believe they should all be self-deported or whatever else, like to.
I'm just asking the numbers. We've been through that before.
I understand, but they're going to be here. So under this bill, it's true. Many of the 11 million people here in unlawful status are going to get a green card. It's naive to ignore the fact that these people are already here. I think most Americans recognize that right now. To say that this is adding to the number of immigrants is simply not really a logical response. It's an emotional response because every year illegal immigrants come into the country in addition to the ones who are here. So unless the goal is to deport the 11 million, which I don't believe you're suggesting that, isn't it better to have the people who are already here subject to labor laws so they can't be exploited at the expense of U.S. workers, registered with the government, doing what they're supposed to do, pay taxes and all of those other things? That's the premise of our bill. And it is true that our bill reduces the family and employment green card backlogs. But again, those people are already coming, even if we do nothing. So in the future, our bill reforms our legal immigration system, making it more geared towards work, high-skilled immigrants, which I know is something that you have told me you support. Last year, 70% of our immigrants were family-based, 14% of our immigrants were employment-based. Our bill changes that around rather significantly. Under our bill, we get closer to 50-50. We do this by eliminating the category of sibling immigration, the diversity visa, although we do make room for families that are already waiting to be united more quickly. And we move to a merit-based system. So it is not that, oh, this bill is allowing many more people to come into this country than would have come. They're coming. They're either coming under law or not under law. And what we do is try to rationalize that system. But I would argue to you that this argument that there are going to be 20 million new people in this country under this bill ignores the fact that there are going to be lots of millions under this in the country illegally if we don't have a bill.
Well, it is hard, Senator Schumer, to calculate, and by eliminating this so-called backlog, which basically is the caps that are placed on the number of family-based, chain migration-based people who can come in, those will be moved forward, and the caps on some of the new flows will be removed entirely. And having those moved out, you have a new flow of people that come in under that. So you will see an increase in numbers through that. It's about 4.5 million as I calculate. Los Angeles Times has found that under the new legal entry into the country, you've got about a 50% increase in that.
Well,
So which would be about 15 million on a regular basis, but it could be more. That's sort of a mid-level estimate of
Again,
what the numbers are.
let me go-
So you got 11 plus 5, that's 15, plus another 15 is about 30 million people, is it not, given legal status in the next 10 years? And shouldn't we be concerned about the future flow if we're going to have such a large number of people being advanced in their
okay, I would
amnesty or
just
legal
say
status?
there's some simple math here. You're adding 11 million, they're already here.
Well, they're
They
going to be
haven't- wait, let
given
me-
full legal status to
let-
compete for jobs.
He's trying to answer your question, Senator. Let him do
By
that.
the way, they're competing for jobs right now. I ride my bicycle around Brooklyn early in the morning. I see people gathered on street corners, okay? Some guy in a truck comes over and says, I'll pay you $10 if you work all day. They're competing with Americans who wouldn't accept $10 a day to work in those jobs. So they are competing right now, and I would argue that they lower the wage scale much more than if they were registered and working in a legal way. Number two, but they're here. So take away those 11 million. We do allow family unification. It's the humane and right thing to do. But many of those people would be allowed to be unified under present law. Some is sped up, but not that much. But third, I would say to my colleague, you don't know if the economy goes very well here and the economy goes badly in Mexico and we do nothing, the number of illegal immigrants will increase and could be far beyond what this bill is. So again, my main point here is this. The system is broken. The American people have given us a mandate to fix it. We fix it in a rational way. And to simply point to who we allow to work here and who we allow to come here does not take into account who would be coming here and to be allowed to work here if we continue to do nothing, which I think just about everyone of each political stripe has said is unacceptable. So what I'd await is your comprehensive immigration bill and how you would deal with the 11 million people who are here, with the people whose families are torn apart. What is your solution? I know you're critical of our bill, and I respect that, and I know it comes from the heart. But the status quo will also continue to drive the numbers up, and I would argue in a way that is less friendly to the American economy and less friendly to what is the right thing to do for our families than present law.
Well, Senator Schumer, you're most articulate and able, and you know I respect you greatly.
It's mutual.
But look, it is not going to be helpful for American workers when these 11 million are legalized. They'll then be able to take virtually any job in the marketplace. Many now are, because they're illegal and didn't come here lawfully, are not able to take the best jobs. But then they'll be able to compete for those. And we've got millions of Americans unemployed. We've got a huge, incredible number of people dropping out of the workforce. Wages have not kept up with inflation. And I believe you've got not only a situation in your bill that legalizes immediately a large number, maybe 15 million, but your annual flow increases. And so this adds even more to the country. And polls show the American people believe in immigration, but they think, if anything, the numbers ought to be reduced, not increased, not increased on top of the amnesty that will be in this bill. I'm really worried about workers. I think we need to talk about that a lot. That's why I thought a more discrete package of legislative proposals separately, more like the House is doing, a step-by-step proposal, would be better.
Why don't-
Do you dispute the fact that we'd probably legalize over 30 million in the next 10 years?
Yes, I do.